The cargo ship Star Wanderer moved silently through the dark side of space, far away from the safety of human colonies. Inside its metal halls, the smell of oil and fear mixed together. It was not a ship of heroes, it was a ship of traders, and not all of them traded goods. Some traded lives. Captain Ryan Hale, a former soldier of the Galactic Peace Force, sat quietly in the corner of the docking bay, pretending to fix his ship's scanner. He wasn't there for business. He was there for something darker. Ryan had heard rumors, whispers from miners and smugglers, about an alien child being sold in the deep markets of Vega Prime. He didn't know why the story bothered him so much. Maybe it was the memory of his own daughter, who died years ago in a border war. Maybe it was the guilt that never left him. But one thing he knew for sure: if the story was true, he couldn't walk away. He waited until the guards left the loading area. The ship's engines hummed like a low growl as he moved quietly through the corridors. His boots made no sound on the metal floor. Every few steps he stopped and listened. Somewhere far down the hall he heard it, a sound too soft for machines. A small sob. Ryan followed the sound until he reached a locked storage room. The scanner on the door glowed red. With careful hands he pulled out a small hacking device, old tech from his military days. A few sparks, a click, and the door slid open with a hiss. The light inside flickered weakly. In the corner, behind metal crates, sat a small creature. It looked like a child. Thin arms, silver-gray skin, and large glowing eyes that reflected the dim light. Metal cuffs were locked around its wrists and ankles. The alien flinched when Ryan stepped forward. "It's okay," Ryan whispered. "I'm not here to hurt you." The child didn't answer, only stared at him with wide, frightened eyes. Ryan noticed bruises on the creature's arms, marks from chains and handling. His heart twisted. Whoever did this had no soul. He moved closer slowly. "My name is Ryan, what's yours?" The child blinked and opened its mouth. The voice was weak but clear, strange yet soft. "Ari," Ryan nodded. "Ari, I'm going to get you out of here." Suddenly, footsteps echoed from the corridor. Ryan froze. Someone was coming. He looked around quickly and spotted a vent panel. Without wasting a second, he pulled out a screwdriver and opened it. "Come on," he whispered. "We need to go." Ari hesitated, afraid. Ryan reached out his hand. For a moment, their eyes met, human and alien. Both lonely, both trapped by the past. Then slowly, Ari reached forward and took his hand. They crawled through the narrow vent just as the guards entered the room. "Hey!" one shouted. "Who opened the door?" Ryan held his breath. The sound of boots filled the air below them. He kept moving, pulling Ari along until they reached the other side of the bay. From there, he dropped down quietly behind a cargo container. Ari looked up at him, trembling. "They will find us." "Not if I can help it," Ryan said, checking his pistol. "Stay close. The escape route wasn't easy." The guards were alert now, searching every corridor. The ship's alarm began to blare. Red lights flashed across the walls. Ryan guided Ari through maintenance tunnels and supply bays, always a few seconds ahead of the danger. At one point, a guard spotted them and fired. The plasma bolt missed by inches, burning a hole in the wall. Ryan returned fire, hitting the guard's armor and knocking him down. Ari screamed, covering their ears. Ryan turned back quickly. "It's okay. It's over." Finally, they reached the docking exit. Ryan's small shuttle, the Sparrow, waited just beyond the airlock. But there was one problem. The door controls were locked down. Ryan cursed under his breath and pulled out his old access chip. The system denied him. He tried again, denied. The alarm grew louder. Then he heard a soft hum beside him. Ari raised their hands and the air shimmered. The control panel lights flickered wildly, and then turned green. The door opened. Ryan stared in disbelief. "You did that?" Ari only nodded, their glowing eyes calm but tired. Without another word, Ryan lifted the child into the shuttle and launched into the black sea of space. Behind them, the slave ship exploded in chaos. As they sped away, Ryan looked at the small alien sitting beside him, scared, silent and free for the first time. He didn't know it yet, but this moment would change his life forever. And somewhere deep inside, the stars themselves seemed to whisper, "This is only the beginning." The small ship Sparrow drifted quietly between stars, its engines humming like a lullaby. Inside, the air was tense. Ryan sat in the pilot seat, staring at the endless black outside. His hands were steady, but his mind was a storm. A few hours had passed since they escaped the slave ship. The alarms, the screams, the fire, and it all played again and again in his head. He had rescued the alien child, but now what? He turned his eyes to the back of the ship. Ari sat there, wrapped in a gray blanket, staring out the window. Their silver skin reflected the soft lights of the cabin. They hadn't spoken much since the escape. Ryan walked over and knelt beside them. "You okay?" he asked gently. Ari nodded, though their glowing eyes told another story. Fear, confusion, and something else Ryan couldn't name. "You did something back there," Ryan said. "With the controls. How did you do that?" Ari hesitated. Their small fingers gripped the blanket tightly. "I made it listen to me," Ryan frowned. "Listen? You mean the computer?" "Yes," Ari whispered. "Machines listen if I ask." They answer. Ryan blinked. "That's not normal." He had seen many alien species during his time in the Galactic Peace Force, but none could do that. Controlling tech with the mind? That was impossible, or at least it should have been. Ari lowered their head. "That is why they took me." Ryan sat down beside them. "Who took you?" Ari's voice trembled. "The ones in black armor. They came to our home. They said my kind was dangerous. They took the young ones away. They said we would be useful." Ryan clenched his fists. He could almost picture it. Soldiers storming into a peaceful colony, tearing children from their families, using them for power or weapons. It wasn't new. He had seen it happen before too many times. "You're safe now," he said. "I won't let them take you again." Ari looked at him, uncertain. "Why?" Ryan was silent for a moment. Why, indeed? He didn't owe anyone anything. He wasn't a soldier anymore. He was just a man with a ship and too many regrets. "Because," he said finally, "no child should live in chains." Ari's eyes softened. For the first time, a tiny smile appeared on their face, fragile but real. Ryan stood up and moved to the cockpit. He had to think fast. The slave ship's owners wouldn't stay quiet. They would come for him. And if what Ari said was true, powerful people wanted the child. He opened a comlink to his old military contact, Captain Myra Cade, who now worked as a data smuggler. Her voice crackled through the speakers. "Ryan Hale, I thought you were dead." "Not yet," Ryan said. "I need information. Slave routes near Vega Prime, any mention of alien children?" There was a long pause. "Ryan, what did you do?" "Just find it," he said, and cut the line. Behind him, Ari had fallen asleep in the chair, still clutching the blanket. Ryan watched them for a moment. The child looked peaceful, but he could sense something, a quiet power like a storm waiting behind calm clouds. Hours later, the comm link beeped. Myra's voice returned, serious and low. "You're in trouble, Ryan. I found something. The group that had the child, they're called the Syndicate of Shadows. They've been capturing gifted species for experiments, and they've already put a bounty on you." Ryan sighed. "How big?" "Big enough that every hunter in 3 systems will come for you." He looked at Ari, still asleep. "Then I better not stay in one place for long." "Ryan," Myra said, her voice softening, "whatever that kid is, you can't protect them forever. These people are monsters. They'll burn planets to get what they want." Ryan smiled sadly. "Then they'll have to go through me first." He turned off the comm and set the course for the outer rim, far beyond the main trade routes. As the stars stretched into long white lines, Ari woke up slowly. "Where are we going?" they asked. "Somewhere safe," Ryan said. Ari tilted their head. "There is no safe place for me." Ryan looked at them with steady eyes. "Then we'll make one." For a long moment they sat in silence, watching the stars. The bond between them, fragile but growing, filled the quiet cabin, but deep in the shadows of space on a distant planet, a syndicate commander watched the report come in. A human had stolen their prize. "Find him," the commander said coldly, "and bring back the child, alive." Outside the ship, a new storm was already forming, one that would test both Ryan and Ari in ways neither could imagine, because this was not just a rescue anymore. It was the beginning of a war. The Sparrow drifted near a dying star, its red glow painting the metal hull like fire. Captain Ryan Hale hadn't slept in 2 days. He sat in the cockpit, watching sensors flicker on the control screen. Every few minutes a signal appeared, then vanished. Someone was following them. He knew it wouldn't take long. A bounty that large didn't go unnoticed. Behind him, Ari sat quietly staring out the window. The child hadn't spoken much since they left Vega Prime. Their eyes shimmered softly, reflecting the dying star's light. "Are we safe here?" Ari finally asked. Ryan gave a tired smile. "Safe? Not really. Hidden? Maybe." He checked the navigation panel again, no clear signal, but his gut told him danger was near. Years of military life had taught him one thing: instincts were rarely wrong. He stood and stretched, then walked to the back of the ship. The small cargo area had been turned into a makeshift living space. Blankets, food packs, a few tools. Not much of a home, but better than the cages Ari had known. "You hungry?" Ryan asked. Ari tilted their head. "I don't need food like you do. I take energy. From light." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "From light? That's convenient," Ari smiled faintly. "It tastes better when it's warm." Ryan chuckled for the first time in days. It was a small laugh, but real. He hadn't realized how heavy the silence had become. Suddenly, the ship's alarm screamed. The console flashed red. Multiple signatures detected. Ryan ran back to the cockpit. Damn it. Hunters. 3 ships appeared on the radar, closing fast. Their IDs blinked with skull icons and bounty hunters. The Sparrow wasn't built for combat. It was fast but light on weapons. Ari's voice trembled. "They're coming for me." "Not just you," Ryan muttered. "They want me too now." He grabbed the flight controls. "Hold on tight." The Sparrow shot forward, engines roaring. Laser fire sliced through the void behind them. One blast grazed the hull, shaking the ship violently. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Ryan twisted the ship between asteroid fragments, trying to lose the pursuers. The hunters were skilled. They stayed close, weaving through the rocks like predators. "Can you make the ship faster?" Ari shouted. "Faster? It's already breaking apart." Ryan yelled back. Ari closed their eyes and placed a hand on the ship's metal wall. A faint blue light spread from their palm, running through the circuits like lightning. The engine whined and then roared louder, stronger. Ryan's eyes widened. "What did you—" "Just fly," Ari said. The Sparrow shot ahead with impossible speed, leaving trails of white light behind. The hunters fired, but the shots missed. Ryan pulled the ship into a dense asteroid belt, using the rocks for cover. One hunter ship wasn't so lucky. A massive stone chunk tore through its wing, sending it spinning into darkness. Ryan grinned. One down. But another ship stayed close, following them through the storm. "Persistent," Ryan muttered. He flipped a switch, releasing a trail of debris mines. The second ship dodged too, but hit the third. A bright explosion lit up space. Silence filled the cockpit for a moment, broken only by the hum of the engine. Ryan leaned back, breathing hard. That should slow them down. Ari looked pale, eyes glowing faintly blue. "I used too much energy," they whispered. Ryan turned to them. "You did great. You saved us." Ari smiled weakly, then fainted. Ryan caught them before they hit the floor. He carried the child to the sleeping area and covered them with a blanket. The glowing light under Ari's skin slowly faded. As he watched over them, Ryan's thoughts grew heavy. This child wasn't just special. They were something far greater. The power to talk to machines, to draw energy from light. It was beyond anything he'd seen. He whispered, "What are you, kid?" The ship's comm beeped suddenly. A voice crackled through static, rough, metallic, and full of confidence. "Captain Hale," it said. "You've been busy." "Nice flying back there." Ryan froze. He knew that voice, Rex Corrin, he said slowly. "Didn't think you still worked for bounties." Rex chuckled darkly. "When the price is right, I'll chase ghosts through hell. Hand over the alien, Ryan. Don't make me ruin that pretty ship of yours." Ryan switched off the comm and whispered to himself, "Over my dead body." He turned the ship toward the nearest nebula, a swirling cloud of blue mist and radiation. If he entered there, sensors would lose them, but flying blind inside could be suicide. He looked back at Ari, sleeping, fragile yet powerful beyond measure. Then he took a deep breath. "Hang on, kid. We're going through." The Sparrow dove into the nebula. Lightning flashed across its hull as the ship vanished into the mist. Behind them, Rex Corran's ship followed, laughing into the comm. "Run as much as you want. Hale, there's nowhere in this galaxy I can't find you." In the storm of the nebula, Ryan gripped the controls, every muscle tight. He didn't know how long he could keep running, but one thing was certain: He wasn't giving up the child. Not now, not ever. The Sparrow tore through the storm of blue light inside the nebula. Energy waves cracked across its hull like thunder. Every alarm screamed at once and smoke filled the cockpit. Ryan fought the controls, teeth clenched. Come on, girl. Hold together. But the ship didn't listen. A massive lightning surge hit the engines, throwing the Sparrow into a spin. Ari woke up confused and weak. Ryan, brace yourself, he shouted. The world turned white. Then silence. When Ryan opened his eyes, the ship was quiet. The lights flickered weakly and a faint hiss of smoke rose from the broken console. He coughed and looked around. Ari, a soft voice answered. Here, Ryan turned. The child was sitting on the floor surrounded by a faint silver glow. It looked like the energy shield had protected them during the crash. Ryan smiled weakly. Guess you saved us again. Ari tilted their head. We fell. Yeah, Ryan said, pushing himself up. We fell hard. He checked the scanners. Surprisingly, the ship was still intact, but power levels were low. Outside the window, thick mist covered everything. Blue and purple clouds floated slowly, glowing with strange light. Where are we? Ari asked. Ryan tapped the display. Somewhere inside the nebula. The ship's systems can't find coordinates, but there's oxygen outside. We can breathe. He stood and grabbed his jacket. Stay close. We'll take a look. The air outside was heavy and cool. The ground was made of glassy rock that shined faintly like crystal. Strange plants grew between cracks, their roots pulsing with light. The sky above was filled with swirling colors like living auroras. Ari stepped beside him, eyes wide with wonder. It's beautiful, Ryan nodded. Yeah, but I don't like beautiful places that don't show up on any map. They walked carefully, scanning the surroundings. No signs of cities or structures, just endless plains of glowing stone. But as they moved, Ryan felt something. A vibration in the air like a distant hum. Ari stopped suddenly. Do you hear that? Ryan frowned. What? The voices, Ari whispered. They're calling. Ryan looked around, hand on his pistol. Voices? From where? Ari pointed toward a valley ahead. The hum grew stronger, turning into a low, musical tone that echoed across the ground. They followed it carefully until they reached a massive ruin. Tall stone pillars covered in alien symbols. Glowing faintly under the mist, Ryan whistled. This place is ancient. Ari walked closer, touching one of the stones. The symbols reacted instantly, glowing brighter. Ryan stepped forward. Wait, don't, but it was too late. The entire structure came alive. Blue light spread across the ruins, forming a giant circle of energy around them. The hum turned into a chorus of soft voices, speaking in a language Ryan didn't understand. Ari closed their eyes, listening. Then slowly they began to speak, not in English, but in that same strange tongue. Ryan's skin prickled. Ari, what are you doing? Ari turned to him, their eyes shining brighter than ever. They remember me, Ryan blinked. What? This is the world of my people, Ari said. Long ago, before the wars, before the humans came, my kind, we lived with the stars. We spoke to them. Ryan took a step back, his voice low. You mean this whole planet belongs to your species? Ari nodded. It was hidden, sealed away in the nebula so no one could find it. The ground trembled. Energy beams rose from the pillars, forming shapes. Ghostly figures made of light. They looked like Ari, tall and graceful with the same glowing eyes. Ryan aimed his pistol instinctively, but Ari raised a hand. Don't, they are memories. Echoes. One of the figures spoke, its voice calm and deep. Child of the loom, you have returned. The bond has awakened. Ari's face turned pale. The bond? The voice continued. Your power must be guarded, for the Dark Ones will come again. Ryan swallowed. The Syndicate? Before he could say more, the energy circle collapsed. The lights dimmed and the ghostly figures vanished. Only silence remained. Ari fell to their knees, shaking. Ryan rushed to catch them. Hey! Breathe, I saw. Everything, Ari whispered. The war. The destruction. My people tried to hide me, to save what was left. Ryan looked toward the misty horizon where the faint glow of a ship flickered far away. They found us, he said grimly. Ari looked up weakly. Then we must leave. This place is not safe anymore. Ryan helped them stand. No, this place might be the key to stopping them. Whatever that bond is, it's what they want. Ari's eyes glowed faintly. If I use it, I could destroy them. Ryan shook his head. No, kid. If you use it wrong, you'll destroy yourself too. Ari looked away, uncertain. The hum of the ruins slowly faded behind them. Ryan tightened his grip on his blaster and whispered, "We'll find another way." But deep in the mist, unseen by either of them, a small drone blinked red, transmitting their location to a distant warship. The Syndicate knew where they were now, and this time, they were bringing an army. The wind howled through the glowing canyons of the hidden world. Ryan stood outside the Sparrow, fixing what little he could. The ship's hull was cracked, power cells half dead, and every alarm told the same story. They wouldn't fly far. He glanced at Ari, sitting on a rock nearby. The child's silver skin shimmered faintly in the dim light. Since touching the ancient ruins, they had been quiet, too quiet. Their eyes no longer glowed softly. They burned like twin stars. Ryan wiped the grease from his hands. "You've been staring at nothing for 10 minutes. You okay?" Ari looked up slowly. "They're coming." Ryan frowned. "Who?" "The ones who took me." "The Syndicate." Ryan's stomach turned cold. He knew Ari was right, even before he heard the ship's sensors start to beep. Multiple heat signatures, approaching fast. He cursed under his breath and ran to the cockpit. "We've got incoming. Big ones." Outside, the quiet sky began to burn. Dark shapes appeared through the mist. Syndicate warships, black as shadow, sliding through the clouds like predators. Ryan grabbed his rifle and turned to Ari. "Listen, kid, we can't fight them head on. We hide, we move, we survive. Got it?" Ari didn't move. Their voice was soft but steady. "They won't stop until they have me. Until they have the bond." Ryan crouched beside them. "Then we make sure they don't." The first blast hit the ground nearby, throwing dirt and light into the air. Ryan pulled Ari into a cave entrance behind the ruins. The explosions grew louder, shaking the entire valley. The Syndicate's troops landed, armored figures with glowing red visors carrying plasma rifles. They spread out like a dark wave, searching every stone and shadow. Inside the cave, Ryan loaded his weapon and checked the exit. He could see at least 20 soldiers. "There's too many," he whispered. Ari closed their eyes. "I can stop them." Ryan shook his head. "No, you're too weak, and we don't even know what that power does." "It remembers me," Ari said. "The ruins, the light. It wants to protect me." Before Ryan could stop them, Ari stepped forward into the open. The soldiers spotted the small figure immediately. "Target located," one shouted. "Capture alive." Ryan swore and aimed his rifle. "Kid, get back." But Ari raised their hand, and the air changed. The ground beneath the soldiers began to glow. The ancient symbols carved into the rocks came alive again, pulsing like a heartbeat. The soldiers stopped, confused, then everything exploded in light. A wave of pure energy shot outward, knocking the troops back like leaves in a storm. Their armor shorted out, weapons sparking uselessly. Ryan shielded his eyes, shouting, "Ari, stop! You'll burn yourself out." But Ari didn't hear him. They were floating a few feet above the ground, eyes blazing bright white. The ruins, around them, answered, pillars of energy rising to the sky, forming a shield dome over the entire valley. Inside the dome, the air was filled with voices again, the same whispers Ryan had heard before echoing through time. "Child of the loom. Awaken." Ari gasped as images flashed through their mind. Their people, their cities of light, their destruction. They saw fire, betrayal, and the endless darkness that followed. When the light finally faded, Ari collapsed. Ryan ran to catch them, shaking their shoulders. "Ari, stay with me." Their voice was weak. "I saw them. All of them. My people tried to protect something. Not me, but what's inside me. The bond. It's not just power. It's memory. It's life." Ryan's heart pounded. Whatever it is, the Syndicate can't have it. Outside the dome, the Syndicate ships fired again, but the energy shield held firm. The blasts bounced off like pebbles against glass. Inside, the silence returned, calm, heavy, and strange. Ryan looked at the sleeping child in his arms. For the first time, he realized the truth. Ari wasn't just some rescued alien kid. They were the last living key to an ancient force, something older and far greater than humanity itself. He whispered, "You're not a weapon, kid. You're hope." Suddenly, a small drone flew through the energy field, sparking as it forced its way in. Ryan shot it down, but not before it sent a signal. From orbit, the Syndicate commander smiled. "So the legends are true," he said. "Activate the planetary breaker. We'll take the child from the ashes." Ryan didn't know it yet, but the planet beneath them was about to shake apart. The energy shield flickered. The ground trembled again. He looked up at the glowing ruins and whispered, "Looks like we're out of time." Holding Ari close, he turned back toward the Sparrow. The ship might be broken, the odds impossible, but Ryan Hale wasn't done fighting. Not while that child still breathed. The planet was dying. The sky, once calm and glowing with blue mist, now burned red. Explosions echoed across the crystal plains as Syndicate warships filled the air like vultures circling their prey. Ryan ran through the smoke, carrying Ari in his arms. The Sparrow shook violently behind them, engines struggling to start. Come on," he shouted, slamming his fist on the console. The ship's systems flickered, then died again. Ari stirred weakly. "They're breaking the planet. The core is collapsing." Ryan turned to look outside. Massive energy beams from the Syndicate ship struck the ground again and again, tearing through the glowing surface. Cracks of blue fire spread across the valley. The air trembled with every impact. He pulled Ari close. "What do you mean, the core?" Ari pointed toward the horizon, where a massive pillar of light shot upward into the storming sky. "The heart of my world. It's waking up." Ryan stared at the glowing beam. "That thing?" Ari nodded faintly. "If it dies, the whole planet will fall apart." Ryan's mind raced. They couldn't escape. The ship was dead. The Syndicate's army surrounded them. The only option left was suicide. Or salvation. "Then we go there," he said. Ari looked up at him, weak and confused. "The core is dangerous. Even I don't know what it will do." Ryan gave a small grin. "Well, it can't be worse than getting blown to dust." He slung Ari over his shoulder and started running toward the light. The closer they got, the more the ground vibrated. The air shimmered with raw energy. Syndicate drones flew overhead, searching for movement. Ryan hid behind broken stone arches, firing bursts from his rifle whenever they came too close. He was bleeding, tired, and running out of ammo, but he didn't stop. Finally, they reached the base of the great beam. It was a massive structure, like a tower made of living crystal. Energy flowed through its veins, humming like a heartbeat. Ari reached out a trembling hand. "It's calling me." Ryan frowned. "Can you use it?" "I don't know," Ari whispered. "But I feel it. It knows I'm here." Before Ryan could answer, a shadow fell over them. A Syndicate dropship landed nearby, its engines screaming. The door opened and a tall figure stepped out, the commander himself, covered in black armor with red lines glowing along his arms. "Ryan Hale," he said through his helmet. "You're a stubborn man. Hand over the child and I'll let you die quickly." Ryan aimed his rifle. "You'll have to work for it." The commander laughed. "You think you can fight an army for a pet alien?" Ryan's jaw tightened. "No, I'm fighting for family." The commander raised his hand and dozens of soldiers moved in. Plasma bolts cut through the air. Ryan ducked behind a crystal rock, returning fire. One soldier went down, then another, but there were too many. Ari screamed as a blast hit nearby, knocking Ryan to the ground. The child crawled forward, reaching for the crystal tower. "Please, help us." The ground trembled. The crystal glowed brighter, then erupted in a wave of white light. The soldiers froze mid-step, their weapons melting in their hands. The commander's visor cracked, sparks flying. Ryan shielded his eyes as a voice filled the air, deep and powerful. the same voice that had spoken in the ruins. The bond is whole again. Ares' body lifted into the air, surrounded by ribbons of light. The markings on the tower burned brighter, pulsing with the same rhythm as Ares' heartbeat. Ryan shouted, "Ares, what's happening?" The child looked down at him, eyes now pure white. "The planet is alive, Ryan. It remembers everything. It remembers me." Energy spread across the ground like liquid fire. The Syndicate troops screamed as their ships lost control, crashing one by one into the glowing plains. The commander fell to his knees, shouting in disbelief. "No, you can't." Ares raised their hand and the light swallowed him whole. Silence followed. Only the soft hum of the crystal remained. Then Ares slowly floated down, collapsing into Ryan's arms. Their glow dimmed again, replaced by exhaustion. Ryan looked around. The Syndicate fleet was gone. The planet had stopped shaking. The sky returned to calm, shining faintly with blue light. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved us." Ares opened their eyes weakly. "No. I just delayed them. They'll come back. They always come back." Ryan smiled sadly. "Then we'll be ready next time." The child nodded slowly, resting against his chest. "Ryan, the bond isn't just mine. When I touched the core, it linked to you too." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" Ares' voice faded. "It chose you." Before he could ask more, Ares fell asleep, their small hand glowing faintly in his. Ryan looked at the massive crystal tower one last time, pulsing slowly, like a heartbeat. Somewhere deep inside he could feel it too, the same rhythm, the same power. The bond wasn't just alive, it was growing, and it had chosen both of them. The planet was quiet again. The skies glowed softly. The ruins stood like ancient guardians, and the crystal tower pulsed with a slow, steady rhythm, like the heartbeat of something alive and waiting. Ryan sat beside the sleeping child, watching the light fade from the horizon. The air smelled of ozone and dust. He hadn't slept in 2 days, but his mind was clear. The war was not over. He glanced at Ari, lying under a silver blanket. The child looked peaceful, but Ryan could feel the hum of power in the air. It wasn't gone. It was only resting, just like them. For a brief moment, he allowed himself to breathe. Then the calm shattered. A deep rumble rolled across the sky. The clouds twisted, and from the upper atmosphere, dozens of Syndicate ships appeared, larger than before, darker than before. Ryan's face hardened. "They're back." He stood grabbing his rifle, though he knew it would do nothing against a fleet that size. Ari woke slowly, eyes glowing faintly. "They found us again." Ryan nodded grimly. "Yeah, but we're not running this time." Ari sat up, looking toward the crystal tower. "The bond wants to protect itself. It knows what's coming." Ryan frowned. "Can you control it?" Ari shook their head. "No, not alone. It said it needs two, light and will. Me and you." Ryan blinked. "Me?" Ari looked up at him. "When I touched you in the core, the bond linked with your spirit. You carry part of it now. That's why it hasn't left." Before Ryan could reply, the ground trembled. The Syndicate fleet opened fire, hundreds of energy blasts raining down. The crystal shield from before flickered weakly. It wouldn't hold long. Ryan grabbed Ari's hand. "Then let's give it what it wants." They ran together toward the tower, wind roaring around them. Debris fell from the sky as the bombardment shook the planet apart. When they reached the base, the tower responded to Ari's presence, glowing brighter, humming louder. The symbols along its surface came alive again. Ari turned to Ryan. "Put your hand here." He pressed his palm against the crystal. It was warm, almost alive. A sudden surge of energy raced through him, light and sound and memory all at once. Ryan gasped as visions filled his mind. Endless stars, ancient civilizations, 1,000 lifetimes of peace and war. He saw the rise of the loom, Ari's people, and their final sacrifice to hide the bond from those who sought its power. And he heard a voice, soft but strong. "Human and loom, two halves of one light. Together you are the bridge." Ari looked up at him, eyes wide. "Do you feel it?" Ryan nodded. "Yeah, it's everything." The Syndicate fleet descended through the clouds. Troop ships broke formation, heading straight for the tower. Ryan clenched his jaw. We end this now. He and Ari stepped closer to the crystal, their hands still on its surface. The tower's light began to spread again, not as a wave this time, but as wings. Massive arcs of glowing energy unfolded across the sky, shimmering like the arms of a star. From orbit, the Syndicate commander shouted orders. Fire the breaker now! Beams of red energy shot downward, but the light from the tower swallowed them whole. The air trembled. The planet itself seemed to awaken. Ari's voice echoed through the storm. The bond protects life. It doesn't destroy. It restores. Ryan felt the same power flowing through him. It wasn't just light, it was memory, hope, love, and pain all together. He looked down at Ari. Let's finish this. They raised their hands together. The bond unleashed itself. A massive pulse erupted from the tower, expanding in all directions. It wasn't a blast of destruction, it was harmony. Every Syndicate ship caught in the light simply stopped. Their weapons melted, engines silenced, and armor turned to dust. In moments, the sky was clear again. The ships were gone, erased not by violence but by peace too powerful to resist. The storm faded. The planet grew calm. Ryan and Ari stood in silence as the tower dimmed once more. The bond's voice whispered through the wind. Balance restored. Guardians chosen. Ryan looked down at Ari. Guardians? Ari smiled softly. It means we're not done yet. Ryan laughed quietly, a sound mixed with relief and disbelief. Guess retirement's off the table. Ari tilted their head. What is retirement? Ryan chuckled. Something I'll explain once we find another planet to call home. They walked back toward the Sparrow. The ship was damaged but not broken, a lot like them. As they boarded, Ryan took one last look at the crystal tower glowing faintly in the distance. Think it'll be okay? Ari nodded. The bond never dies, it only waits. Ryan smiled, starting the engines. Then so do we. The Sparrow lifted into the dawn sky, flying past clouds that shimmered with silver light. Below them, the planet pulsed once, a heartbeat of farewell. Ari looked out the window. Ryan? Yeah. Thank you. For finding me. Ryan looked ahead at the stars. No, kid. You found me. The ship disappeared into the starlit void, leaving behind a world reborn, and two souls forever bound by the light.